The time is 7:10. This is Chairman Joseph Deco. I welcome you all to the East Haven Town Council special meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:11. Roberta, may I have a roll call, please?
Ashley Lesko,
Here.
Beth Capitordo, Kimberly Glassman,
Here.
Joseph Deco,
Here.
Salvatore Maltese, Joseph Santino,
Here.
Josh Balter,
Here.
Marianne Caesar,
Here.
Louis Caselli,
Present.
Peter Hennessy,
Here.
Samantha Parlato,
Here.
Robert Ranfone,
Here.
Mary Butler,
Here.
Raymond Pompano,
Here.
and Jennifer Ruggiero. 12 present, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Roberta. This is Chairman Deco. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Attorney Luzzi. Attorney Luzzi?
Thank you, Chairman Deco. Good evening. My name is Michael Luzzi, and I am the town attorney. As indicated in the preamble to this evening's agenda, due to Governor Ned Lamont's March 10th, 2020 declaration of public health emergency and civil preparedness emergency, and has subsequently issued executive orders 7B and D, and due to the spread of the coronavirus disease 2019 in the state of Connecticut, including New Haven County, in-person access to this special meeting will not be permitted. This is a 100% electronic meeting. The public can access this meeting from a computer, tablet, or smartphone. Our license for the town of East Haven allows up to 500 participants. At this point, we have not reached 90, so we have more than enough space for individuals to join the meeting. Tonight's special meeting is taking place remotely via Zoom. Video conference links and dial-ins were provided to the public. For council members listening, I know initially there's a roll call and you are unmuted. I think that Chairman Deco is going to mute your devices once the mayor starts to speak so that we do not have any background noise. There will come a point in time during this special meeting that it's required that you speak, and if it is, I have one very important reminder for our members. Every time someone speaks, you must state your name and title for the record. We must also be careful not to speak over one another. Initially, as I've said many times prior, this might seem a bit cumbersome. It is required so that all participants can hear what is being said and so that we can create a clear record. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Attorney Luzzi. This is Chairman Deco. The purpose of this meeting is for the State of the Town address and budget address by the mayor. So without further ado, it's my distinct honor to introduce Mayor Joe Carfora. I will unmute him. And I am going to mute everyone else. Okay, Mayor, the floor is yours.
Good evening, and thank you for joining me for my first State of the Town and budget address. 2 years ago, I pulled a small group of family and friends about running for mayor of East Haven. I've lived here my entire life. I love this town, and I want to make a difference. I had personal issues that I had to deal with. I had to talk about them. I had to tell East Haven about them. It wasn't easy to do that, but it was the right thing to do. I decided to run. I won, and then it begun. Dropped in the middle of a pool and treading water seems like the right metaphor. And it was. We had a skeleton crew who worked very hard, and we moved forward every day. What we found wasn't pleasant. I could never imagine the state of disrepair that our town was in. Financially and emotionally, our reputation was abused and in tatters. We found buildings in such disrepair that they were hazardous. In sharing my screen with all of you firsthand, I want to show you some slides. Just give me a second. This is the pool. Can you see them? Can everybody see those pictures? Okay. This pool, when I walked through it with the Board of Health and some other administrators from the town, it was very, very disheartening. So our pool was closed by East Shore Health District. It was so bad that electrical boxes were rusted out, as you could see in some of these slides. Public Works, the building that had a roof that was leaking like it wasn't even a roof. I'm gonna go to another slide. It's not working. There it is. Athletic fields with potholes that created dangerous conditions for our kids. Streets that weren't swept, just overall unacceptable conditions. The prior administration spent $100,000 on a new roof for the Reggie Hatch building on North High Street with the intention of selling it. They did not have the foresight that this building would be vital to any future expansion of the Fox and Firehouse. But we marched on. Financially, we were all told that East Haven was in great shape. What a falsehood. As a former council member, like the Board of Finance members, we were presented information, but it was information that was inaccurate. Revenues were just blatantly phantom. It was a much different overall picture than when I sat on that side of the table as a councilman. How do I know this? People told us. Staff from the previous administration who wanted to keep their jobs were telling us in meetings about fake revenues. Just imagine someone in a small staff meeting saying, I am going to tell you something that needs to stay in this room. It was shocking. What they proceeded to say was that there was $800,000 in last year's budget of fake revenue to make it look like a balanced budget. Well, what he told us certainly wasn't kept in that room, and that person no longer works for our town. Because if you act dishonestly, especially in the reporting of a financial information to this community, we have no place for you. We were handed large lawsuits and hundreds of thousands of dollars of unpaid legal fees. Fees for services that predated Election Day. An eye-opening experience for our legal department. But we marched on. We also were handed a depleted medical insurance fund. Why? Because the Maturo administration and its legal staff cut a check to the Board of Education for just under $5 million. Yes, $5 million to settle the claim that they were overcharging the Board of Education for medical benefits. So imagine overcharging your own fellow employees. So let this sink in. A $5 million payment right before Election Day last year, October of 2019. But we marched on. Then the yearly audit was complete and it confirmed what we were being told, and it showed exactly what I was seeing. There was a significant deficit for the 18-19 fiscal year. It confirmed what we were being told wasn't true. the town was not in the financial condition that they said it was. It confirmed what that employee in that small staff meeting said about the phantom $800,000 revenues, because revenues were short. A $1.2 million deficit was confirmed, but we marched on. I want to show you on these slides. If you look at these slides here, I'm going to get off my speech a little bit, but if you get on these slides here, you could see that the state school aid construction was for $657,000. And then in 2018, it was actually $1,058,000. It was paid off in full. The state paid that grant off in full. And I'm going to bounce back and forth so all of you can see this. 2019, June 30th, 2019, the state school construction, it said $790,636. That was put into the budget. That figure did not exist. You could see what the final budget was. It was still $790,636. And then you could see in that final line item that the 790,000 never existed. The same thing goes for the health and welfare for the non-public school. Right below it, it says $27,895. It was put into the final budget, and the actual, the actual figure right next to it is blank because that never existed. The elderly circuit breaker program for our senior citizens. This program was abolished 4 years ago, and they kept putting in the $340,000 into our budget as false revenues every year. And they put it in the current budget that we're in right now, all three of these line items. And this has really been very, very heartfelt with me because it's really affecting our finances. To move on, I personally spent some time at our Public Works Department to see what they do on a daily basis. I talked to them because I wanted to hear their concerns. Their morale was horrible. The crew was upset and run down by an administration that did not respect them or their work. Another unacceptable situation that had to be fixed. We uncovered that they allowed open purchase orders at stores in towns. Employees could walk in, grab stuff off the shelves for a work project, and have them charged back to an open purchase order without direction or pre-approval. There was no accountability. I immediately had open purchase orders close. To this day, every purchase order has to come across my desk, and every purchase order has to be approved by me before they are paid. I can't tell you how many things we identified as inappropriate because of that policy. Purchase orders and services that are actively being investigated as I speak to you. We have provided the request information to the necessary authorities to assist in their investigation. Within 2 months of me taking office, we faced actions of some vendors that were found breathtakingly bold and aggressive. For example, all of a sudden I was presented with bills from some vendors that claimed that they had performed work for the town for which they hadn't been paid. It was heating and air conditioning, electrical, pool services. There was a purchase of 41 window air conditioning units. Units that today we still cannot locate. The outrageous thing was that some of these bills for claimed work dated all the way back to 2017. Yes, you heard it. It was 2017. And approximately 3 years earlier, and now all of a sudden they were showing up to be paid. That's when the bells and whistles really went off with us. I started asking questions. I asked what work, who authorized it? Why was this being done by outside vendors when we have the ability to do the same work in-house? I instructed our town attorney to question every single one. They had to prove to us that they actually did the work. And why did they wait almost 3 years to build the town? And guess what? When we pressed these vendors, they went away and basically said, never mind, and they stopped asking for payment. So imagine a small business being owed $15,000 to $20,000 for that period of time. And when we forced them to prove themselves and support their invoices, they went away. It just made no sense. So I can assure you that we aren't going away on this issue. Those bills and vendors' information have been passed on to the necessary investigative authorities. And we still marched on. We found that the town's insurance coverage of the town's insurance coverages were not sufficient. One policy had coverages on buildings that either no longer existed or were not our own responsibility. We also had meetings with the brokers, and they told us that they were concerned about the low-level protection the town had for years. In the first few months, we gathered so much information so that we could piece together a plan. I can tell you that there were many days that I stepped into my office in complete disbelief. I was shocked by what I found and what needed to be done. But my team continued to march on. Our budget process started soon after the first of the year. And I had removed prior finance director, Paul Rizzo. The finance department had become toxic. Employees were being screamed at almost daily. Through the years, an atmosphere of intimidation and lack of respect that had been allowed to fester. And frankly, I was not comfortable with what I was hearing about processes down there at the finance office at all. Paul Rizzo was replaced. We worked with the union to install Jim Keeley. For anyone who has worked with Jim, Jim has a tremendous amount of respect for him as a person and for his ability. He too was forced to work under difficult conditions. Jim is a breath of fresh air in that department, and we have instilled a basic respect back into that department. As many of the members here know, that budget process starts with requests for budget information being sent to the department heads, their wish list. Those requests are sent back to finance, and they are put into a working document. We then went to work, department by department, line item by line item. Every large department was called into my office. We talked about what they asked for and why they did. Painstakingly, we worked through each line item. the department requests totaled $99,375,433. We looked at a department's current year's expenditures. Some asked for more money in their request than they had actually spent the year before. Just that basic scrutiny allowed us to make initial cuts of $1.5 million. Let me give you an example of how deep we looked into every line item, and one example of something that we discovered. It isn't surprising to anyone that benefit costs are always monumental. I wanted them evaluated from top to bottom, not to change benefits for anyone, but to make sure that the town was being treated fairly by the vendor we purchased them from. You'll often hear about the term generic drugs. Once a drug comes off of its patent by a brand name manufacturer, generic drug companies can then start to make the drug. Oftentimes you might hear from your doctor, "Oh, that just went generic." Our insurance contracts do account for a drug going from brand name to generic. And as soon as that change occurs, our East Haven town employees get the benefit of paying the cheaper generic price immediately, as they should, and a huge savings for some. But however, what we also figured out was that while the employee paid the cheaper generic price, the town of East Haven still paid the higher brand name price. And that this has been going on for years. I asked that this be analyzed, and it was. And it was presented to me that this might have cost the town as much as $80,000 to $110,000 per year. If you simply go back 5 years, that's up to $500,000. That's another frustrating thing that we found. And we marched on. And we can't recover any of that money. So what we will make sure is that this will not happen for 1 minute moving forward after July 1st, when we take control. We can gain that savings moving forward, and we will. The budget that I'm presenting to you reflects a total of $5.8 million in cuts. This budget also reflects a mill increase of 1.86, bringing the town's mill rate to 34.28. This increase will cost the average homeowner in the town $25.52 more a month. And I have a slideshow up on here right now for you to look at. While these cuts are significant and across the board, they are responsible cuts. They will not impact our public works efforts. In fact, you already see our trucks and workforce out daily cleaning streets and now responsive to specific work requests, from tree removal to ball fields and beautification. They want to work. They want to keep work in-house, and we intend to do that moving forward. There's a lot of happy residents out there from the phone calls that we've been getting in the mayor's office. Phone calls like, "We've never seen plow trucks come down our street until you took office." My team is here to service the people of East Haven, and we intend to keep doing that. There's another budget example, is our police and fire public safety. The public safety budgets were meticulously evaluated while sitting side by side with our police chief, Ed Lennon, and our fire chief, Matt Marcarelli. We worked together in an atmosphere of mutual respect to add 4 captains' positions in the fire department as well as a captain, lieutenant, sergeant, and 5 patrol officers to the police department. The creation of these additional positions will also allow us to provide the high school and middle school each with a school resource officer. Both of these respected departments have not had significant staffing increases since the 1980s. Both men worked hard to make their budgets work, and we all recognize our unwavering commitment to our first responders. They didn't have any staff increases, and call volumes almost doubled for the fire department and the police department. So I'm very proud to install these four captains positions in the fire department, and the officers that we will have more supervision and boots on the ground for more safety for our residents. We march through this process every single day at every level. It included the responsible combining of positions to save money where we could, but always with the eye on being more efficient and for the enhancement of services. For one example is that we combined the social services and senior center director roles, which led to over $85,000 in savings. This was accomplished after we presented this plan to the union and an agreement was reached. We also saved close to $147,000 by combining Jim Keeley's job with outgoing Paul Rizza's job. This is a pie chart that I want all of you to look at. Now, mind you, everything in this pie chart except for that light blue is something that I could cut expenses from. Everything is contractual elsewhere. The Board of Education, the debt service, insurance and benefits, wages and contractual, utilities. You know, the additional expenses is what my team concentrated on. And we did save a little on wages by combining those positions that I just spoke about. There are contractual raises in this budget. That is union raises that the town is obligated to honor. There are 2 additional increases for both the deputy police chief and the assistant fire chief based on an agreement with the prior administration. Those raises were to be paid in the 2021 budget to make them whole in parity. Our police chief and our fire chief also received a slight increase in salaries. With that being said, our community is fortunate to have individuals in these positions, and their dedication to our town and residents are on display every day. I stand by these requests. They earned it and they deserve it, especially with what we're dealing with now with COVID-19. We face a number of issues, from land use to economic development to Tweed Airport. By way of the brief background on Tweed, Connecticut Attorney General William Tong, on behalf of the state of Connecticut, asked the United States Supreme Court to review the case that let stand a court decision that allowed Tweed New Haven Airport to lengthen its runway. Essentially, an appellate court decided that the airport could go ahead and lengthen its runway beyond 5,600 feet, despite a 2009 Connecticut state law preventing it. The US Supreme Court did not take up Attorney Tong's request. It let stand these decisions that allow runway expansion on the premise that the Federal Aviation Act trumps our state law. To say that I am disappointed is an understatement. If airport expansion is going to be mandated and unavoidable, I will be sure that our voice is heard and that the best interests of our community, of our entire community, are recognized, evaluated, and compensated. The expansion of this airport should not be placed on our backs, and too often it seems as though everyone overlooks that. Our legal staff continues to monitor the situation, and I have regular talks with the director. We have inherited some massive court case issues. One of the most significant liability that we face is in the area of court cases left over from the previous administration. I walked into what can amount to millions of dollars worth of lawsuits. They include the quarry case that is about 3 years old. Our legal staff has updated our zoning board of appeals and our town council. We are committed to protecting our town and sharing information with our governing bodies. I will say this, it was very disappointing to finally see what legal situations that the past administration left this town in with respect to some of these larger cases. For example, our town attorney found himself in federal court within days of taking office on police suits that dated back years. Step by step, we have methodically and responsibly resolved a number of cases. Just as we took office, we were informed that the town has lost a multi-year legal battle with a developer on an affordable housing case, approximately 5 to 6 years of a legal fight. And that developer won the absolute right to build around 100 homes, of which 30% must be affordable homes, pursuant to the state affordable housing statute that's located in the Strong Street area. And while that developer has the absolute right to build what the court mandated it could, and we have no way of stopping it, I have been talking to that developer. And now COVID-19 has slowed those talks too. And there is justifiably some frustration surrounding the pace of those discussions. But no one involved can say that we aren't working hard to attempt some form of a compromise. But I must remind everyone, the court has spoken, and that developer has the mandated right to build approximately 100 homes. We are also facing another affordable housing lawsuit for the parcel known as the Girl Scout camp property, AKA Sperry Lane. A developer started the process against the town 2 years ago, and it culminated with another affordable housing lawsuit that we inherited. Since that is pending litigation, I cannot and should not comment, but I can and will commit to an honest and thorough discussion with the developer moving forward. There's a slide up there about the beach right now. I am also actively working on a parking plan to protect the homeowners on our shoreline. They have been subject to an unacceptable parking situation for far too many years. While we recognized very early that the technology in town hall was obsolete and dangerously behind the times, COVID-19 magnified this even more. For example, when we first took office and before COVID-19, people did not know how emails were created and why certain services were even being used. I was shocked to find out that town employees were using personal emails to conduct town business. Yes, you heard correctly. Personal and confidential town-related business was being shared using random Gmail SNET, and Comcast addresses. These emails can be accessed by employees even after their employment ends with the town. This is a security threat. Have a look at this. It's up on your screen now. This, my friends, is a phone booth that's outside Town Hall from the 1980s. Guess what? We are still paying for the phone line for that phone booth. In addition, we have 114 lines coming into Town Hall with less than 40 are being used. Each line prior to the new phone system upgrade was costing the town $12.50 per line. The upgrade dropped the price to 99 cents a line. This will be a savings to the town of more than $17,000 annually. This will also bring the town hall into the 21st century with caller ID, voicemail, and call forwarding. This budget also includes a new department with a budget of $100,000 for technology. East Haven is the only town in the immediate area that has no IT department. Our charter also needs to be addressed. It is clear that we need charter revision. I am committed to immediately evaluating the process and what was initiated a few years back. Working off a 30-year-old document is simply not acceptable. The same goes for our Civil Service Commission and its operative guidelines. They too need to be updated. I cannot present anything to you without talking about COVID-19. COVID-19, according to this slide, the orange line represents the impact COVID-19 has had on East Haven compared to our neighboring towns of Brantford and North Brantford. As you can see, our town has been significantly impacted by this virus. Our heartfelt thoughts and prayers to those who have lost loved ones and who are sick. I understand your pain. My father is in long-term care at Brantford Hills, and my family just received word that he is COVID positive. Our town has battled with the Department of Public Health on Whispering Pines in that devastating situation. And while we have no licensing authority, we have tried hard to get the state to recognize that families need to be treated fairly and receive accurate information. I cannot thank Ed Lennon and Matt Marcarelli and their departments enough. They are truly on the front lines. I want to thank the first responders families as well. After all, they directly lived through this. Each department has protocols to protect themselves from cross-contamination. We have also created 2 teams at Public Works and segregated their work duties to do the best that we can to avoid cross-contamination in that department too. Cleaning protocols have been upgraded and deep cleanings have occurred at our senior center, in Town Hall, and all town facilities, some of which continues today. In Town Hall, our Public Works Department has installed plexiglass barriers for the protection of employees and the public in anticipation of reopening Town Hall to the public. Our Board of Finance and Town Council have helped me invoke the necessary emergency provisions under our charter. We are responsibly identifying costs that are related to COVID-19 under the guidance of our Emergency Management Director and Fire Chief Matt Marcarelli and our Finance Director Jim Keeley, so that we can be reimbursed for such costs when that exercise occurs. We monitor these expenditures weekly. One of my commitments was to communicate with our residents and businesses. With respect to our business community, we recognize the difficulties that you face. We stand ready to help in any way. The town's economic development position is arguably more crucial today maybe than ever. Today, our economic development position is open. Our ability to fill that position has been greatly impacted by COVID-19. One of the first things that I did when I announced my run for mayor was to drive this community. The empty blocks of stores on the I-95 corridor and on Route 80 puts a pit in your stomach. But now with how COVID-19 is impacting our community, a presence in the economic development position is even more critical. Making access to our town hall is also a work in progress. Online services are provided through our website, and our town clerk, Stacy Gravino, has upgraded technology in her office. Thank you, Stacy. Our Board of Education is working hard. I will never cut education funding, but we have to ask the Board of Education to continue to watch every penny. I am proud that the town provides $2.6 million in-kind services to our school district. Things like school crossing guards, public services, which include snow plowing, ground maintenance of the fields, playgrounds, and waste collection. The town also pays all related costs of bonding for school projects such as the football field, which I am proud to be a part of the renovation of that complex. In the fiscal year 18-19, the debit service alone paid by the town specifically for Board of Education was more than $750,000. The relationship over the past 10 years between the board and the town has been frayed, and I am committed to repairing it, which is in the best interest for the families of our town. COVID-19 has forced the BOE to implement distance learning in a short amount of time in order to keep the education going, and I commend them for the job they are doing. We have worked hard to provide information about our town, and certainly about the COVID-19 guidelines as soon as we receive it. This is a work in progress and a commitment that everyone in Town Hall believes in. The state of this town needs work. COVID-19 has shocked us in so many ways, but I will never lose the sight of what a wonderful community this is. No matter what this town faces through the years, it pulls together. It is a loving and caring community of hardworking people, from fundraisers to mask making efforts, to school parades, to East Haven Proud efforts. We in East Haven continue to show how special a community we are. Our food pantry is a thriving, special place that helps families on a daily basis. I worked there last Saturday, and I could not believe of the system that Diane Romans has in place to run that food pantry. It's absolutely unbelievable. We are a special shoreline community, and I want a hopeful and realistic future for the residents. Trust and faith in our government, a green that is the heart of the town, that is inviting for residents to gather, in businesses that thrive. These are all attainable goals, but for any goal to be achieved, a strong leader must lay out a plan. Brick by brick, we are laying out that plan, and we strive every day through actions and the team that I have assembled to implement this plan. I want to address this budget process as well. The governor's executive orders gave municipalities across the state great leeway in the budgeting process. So basically, the order said that towns could streamline or even bypass the normal charter provisions. We could have simply gone straight to the town council with this budget and bypass the Board of Finance and bypass the workshops. We have not. Everyone, the Board of Finance members, who I was very pleased last week, voted all in favor of this budget, being Republican or Democrat. It was voted unanimously. Town Council Chairman Joe Deco and council members and I all agreed that we wanted to go through as much of our process as possible via remote meetings, and proudly we are. A decision that we are proud of, no matter how cumbersome this Zoom process can be. Our march forward and our plan for this community won't always be perfect, and there will always be naysayers who hide their personal agendas behind attacks of me and this fine community, but rest assured that my administration's plan will always be put forward based on hard work and honesty. Thank you to our first responders, our frontline workers, and their families. And I appreciate and respect your daily efforts. I want to thank everyone involved in getting us to where we are today, all of our department heads, all of our town employees, and our town clerk, Stacy Gravino, but most importantly, the great people of this amazing town. God bless you, and please stay safe, and let's march on through this together. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the Town Council, the budget is now officially turned over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Great words of advice, and we will march on together, and we are East Haven. Thank you very much. At this time, I am going to unmute our council members. Attorney Luzzy and our clerk, Roberta DeLuca. Give me 1 minute if you can, so I can mute everyone.
I don't have to stay there now, right?
I think I have everyone that should be unmuted.
Mary Ann.
Oh, Marianne. Sorry, Mayor. Okay, this is Chairman Deco again. Thank you very much again, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Vice Chair, may I have item number 4, please?
Item number 4, Vice Chairman Pacelli, to consider and act upon the setting of a public hearing date with regard to the town of East Haven's portion of the 2020-2021 fiscal year budget.
May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a
So moved.
Second.
Was that Linda?
Yes.
Linda
Second.
Hennessy was second. May I have a roll call, please, Roberta?
Yep. Ashley Lesko,
Yes.
Kimberly Glassman,
Yes.
Joseph Deco,
Yes.
Joseph Santino,
Hold on, I may not have, here we go. Okay,
Yes.
Councilman Santino's on.
Yes.
okay, Josh Balter,
Yes.
Mary Ann Caesar,
Yes.
Louis Pacelli,
Yes.
Linda Hennessy,
Yes.
Samantha Parlato,
Yes.
Robert Ranfone,
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
Henry Butler,
Yes.
Raymond Pompano.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carried.
thank you, Roberta. This is Chairman Deco. Vice Chair Pacelli, item number 5, please.
To consider and act upon the setting of a public hearing date for May 19, 2020 for the 2020-21 fiscal year budget. Make a motion that we set that public hearing.
May I have a
So
second?
moved. Second. Second.
Thank you very much. Roberta, may I have a roll call for item number 5, please?
Ashley Lesko,
Yes.
Beth Capitorto, oh, I'm sorry, Kimberly Glassman,
Yes.
Joseph Deco,
Yes.
Joseph Santino,
Yes.
Josh Bolter,
Yes.
Marianne Caesar,
Yes.
Louis Pacelli,
Yes.
Linda Hennessy,
Yes.
Samantha Parlato,
Yes.
Robert Ranfone,
Yes.
Henry Butler,
Yes.
Raymond Pompano.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carried.
Thank you very much, Roberta. This is Chairman Deco again. Just to clarify item for everyone that's attending the meeting. Item number 4 and 5 are our public hearings. Our budget workshops are open to the public. There unfortunately is no public comment in our workshops, but there will be plenty of opportunity for the public to have input on our budget on May 18th and 19th. So I thank you all for coming, and I'm asking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion.
To adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned at 8:02. Thank you all for coming.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bill.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.